All right, everybody, welcome to BO Boys for Thursday, September 7th. Fuck it, it's a raw feed. We're doing it live. I'm Clayton.
Yeah, I'm Pat. And Clayton, we have two huge horror sequels opening this weekend. So we had to do it. We had to bring in, this is one of our favorite guests of all time. People love him. He is our senior horror correspondent for the BO Boys. He is the host of the New Flesh podcast. Give it up, everyone, for the big brain on Brett. Brett is here.
Hello. It is a pleasure to be here, as always.
So, Brett, two huge horror films opening this weekend. Let's start with the more obvious of those films.
My Big Fat Greek Wedding 3.
My Big Fat Greek Wedding 3 opens this weekend, as does the Nun 2. So, you're the host of the New Flesh. You are the creator of #horror lifestyle. Is My Big Fat Greek Wedding 3 officially horror lifestyle at this point? Of course, it started as a romantic comedy, but I would think it's morphed, but you tell me.
I'm going to go with yes, if only because I feel like there's a Mandela effect situation going on with that franchise. Because I think if you asked anybody, when did Big Fat Greek Wedding 2 come out? They would either say there was a Big Fat Greek Wedding 2, or they would say like a year after the other one.
Mm-hmm.
But it came out in 2016, and I have zero memory of it.
Yeah.
So to me, that's horrifying that there's a third one. I can't believe it. It doesn't feel right.
Yeah.
It really is tackling one of the true horrors of living life, which is time.
The
and
passage
the way
of time. Yeah.
You know, we saw M. Night tackle this with Old, and now we have Nia Vardalos. Is that how you say her name?
Nia Vardalos. Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, tackling it with this film. Now, I'll tell you what, though, guys. I saw that second one in the theater, and I remember it vividly.
Wow.
Because I enjoyed it thoroughly.
Really?
Wow. Okay,
Yeah.
so set the scene. Are you Clayton, you and I haven't known each other that long. It's only been about 12 years. So in terms of friendships, not that long. So
he's never whipped out a Windex bit on you?
He's no, never ever. So this is something I didn't know about him, Brett. I did not know he is My Big Fat Greek Wedding fan. So did you love the first one? How did you find yourself at part 2 in, like Brett said, not 2003. The second one came out in 2016. So
in the run up to Trump becoming president,
right.
My Big Fat Greek Wedding 2 was unleashed.
Yeah. Sign of the times.
I actually had never seen the first one. I had a girlfriend at the time that was a big fan of the first one, and she wanted to see the sequel, and we went and saw it at the IFC Center. So it was basically like seeing it in my living room.
It was playing at the fucking IFC Center?
In the smallest theater that you could imagine. The screen was, you know how we always give people shit for saying, I have a bigger screen at home. There are people who have bigger screens at home than this IFC screen.
I always say the smallest screen there, I think, is about the size of the one I have at home. Yes. It is quite tiny.
I've seen Antichrist on that screen.
Oh, wow.
I had time by myself to kill years ago. I was by the IFC Center, saw Antichrist.
You're like, what's on your smallest screen, please?
Yes. And they said, of course it's Antichrist. And a woman next to me, I'll never forget, during the I'll just say it, the clitoral scissor scene.
Sure.
I had to look down, and I know the hashtag the hashtag horror lifestyle fans listening are disgusted that I had
their eyes they went like this.
Well,
eyes open for the listeners on the podcast.
This woman next to me definitely is a New Flesh fan because she just didn't miss a beat tossing popcorn into her mouth during the clitoral scissor scene of Antichrist. So the same theater then, Clayton, where you saw My Big Fat Greek Wedding 2. Did you and your girlfriend at the time love it? Was it a great experience?
I think seeing it on a smaller screen made it better because it is more of a TV level sort of franchise, right? I mean, I think the first one was a phenomenon, obviously.
That's why
missed out on it.
I am like genuinely fascinated by it playing at IFC Center because I feel like it's
Mhm.
like harkening back to its roots
Yep.
as
Yeah.
the like biggest indie movie that could. This movie that no one expected to be a huge hit, that became a huge hit, that literally had a CBS sitcom out by the summer. I feel like
Mhm.
it was such a hit, and I mean, by the time the second one comes out, it's presumably released by like I think Universal's Focus Features put it out. So it's I guess that's still an indie arm for them, but it's so wild that I mean I'm sure it was playing at AMC as well, but it was the fact that it was at IFC is very interesting to me.
Well,
Yeah. I mean, and I think this. I mean, and just to like follow up to talk about the third one is that as much as I enjoyed the second one, and then went back and watched the first one and was delighted by it thoroughly because I already knew the characters.
mhm.
This one seems to be getting no promotion
Yeah.
because you would think that someone like myself, who thoroughly enjoyed the second one, would be very aware of this movie coming. And
Right.
until we looked forward from the summer to September and this one popped up, I was like, oh, that's coming out now? I thought that it was going to be coming out later in the year. I had no clue. So obviously, I don't have plans to see this at the moment, but it is very curious that this thing is getting zero promotion.
It also has the dreaded one, like the worst possible embargo, which is 7 p.m. on Thursday is when critics are allowed to talk about it, which is
Yeah.
like which means like the first show will happen at 7 p.m. that night, and that's when the floodgates will open. So that's
Yeah.
usually a sign that they do not have confidence in it. But this is one of those cases where it doesn't matter if the movie's a stinker. It's My Big Fat Greek Wedding. It's like that's a property, weirdly.
Right.
And
Right.
people would have, I think you're right. If they had put marketing spend into this, no matter the quality of the movie, I think it would have opened bigger than whatever it's going to open to, because I do think it has no footprint right now.
The
Well,
hardcores would have gone no matter what. And it's just, what are the hardcores here? And
I
how many
I
of
mean,
the
if you
hardcores
look
are
at
still alive?
if you look at the run, I mean, just to put some context into what this franchise has done, that first one was a total indie release. I mean, the opening weekend's $597,000 back in April of 2002. It legged out to 241 million domestic.
It is
I mean, that is
unfathomable, and I can't even believe that number. I'm looking at it, and I still can't believe it.
it's stunning. It's, we talk about the Something About Mary run
Yeah,
in summer of 98, which of course is classic, but that's a movie that opened at what, $9 or $10 million.
yeah,
It got
and
to
it's not.
150
It's a studio
or
movie, so it's like
right.
it's just so wild that very rarely does like a natural indie phenomenon happen like this. Like even I want to say Juno is a similar one, but Juno was also like a
Like Fox
studio
Searchlight.
movie. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
there's just there's hard to find a comp because I think
Yeah.
it's like the standout example of an indie doing like crazy business.
But like you said, Brett, the distance between that first and second one, I am shocked. I did think that the second one would have come out in the 2000s. It came out 14 years later, and it did open to 17.8
It
and
did
got to
fine. Yeah.
59 million,
Yeah.
which is fine for that level of movie. The fact that they're going back to this third one so quote unquote quickly, 7 years later, they're not doing a sort of all right, let's see you every 14 or 15 years and really have a different stage of life. This one feels like a cash in, but I don't think that there's going to be any cash on the other end of it.
I forgot one detail about the indie production of this. That I think it's a Playtone film,
Yeah.
right? I think Tom Hanks and Rita Wilson have always been on board. So like
Yeah.
it's had that star power in terms of producer. I don't remember the trailer, but I wonder if their names were on it. The original trailer for the Big Fat Greek Wedding. For my Big Fat Greek Wedding.
I do remember, and this could be a Berenstain Bears situation, but I do remember Tom Hanks doing a lot of promotion for this movie at the
Feels right.
time. And
Mhm.
I do think that is a big reason why this one feels like there's zero promotion, because obviously they could have bought commercials, but the actors in this promoting it probably would have been a big deal.
They
if
need
SAG
Joey
was-
Fatone on
Yes.
Fallon.
Yes, 100%. I mean, they need Andrea Martin going in character as her famous Greek matriarch character on all the chat shows, on, of course, Hot Ones, doing the podcast in character, because without her promoting it, there's they're not going to spend a lot on commercials. This would have been a movie where Hanks probably would have done some promotion.
I'm just about to say, is there some loophole perhaps for the strike situation because he's not in the movie? He didn't write it.
Yeah.
Is the Producers Guild striking? I'm unaware.
Right.
No, they're not at the moment. I mean,
get Hanks on the shows.
I know he could, but I think that would come off looking very scabbish because we know him more as an actor.
Yeah.
I think, you know what? I heard this on Hollywood Handbook, and I just want to pass it along in case it hasn't been said on the show yet. Scabs are a part of healing. I'm just going to say that.
Wow. Interesting. I mean, I guess if Hanks would have went on a show and said that, it would have been interesting.
It would change the discourse overnight.
It would change the discourse for sure. Yeah, I mean, this movie definitely needed the actors out there. I mean, I think part of the problem with this franchise is that, and listen, she's had a great career, and
Carla? Nia Vardalos? Is that what we're talking about?
Vardalos. I mean, if she passed away the day after movie got to 200, God forbid, but it got to 240 million domestic, she would have had a great career. I mean, that movie gave her a great career no matter what.
It feels like it's probably in the Guinness World Records book for a certain, you could find the stat, but it has to be like some sort of ratio of budget to money made. Like it's got to be up there with what? Paranormal Activity and Blair Witch. It feels like it might even be more than those. I'll have to crunch the numbers. Yeah.
Yep. Those are probably top 3 for budget to return. But the thing is, Nia Vardalos, she's been in stuff. She's been on TV. She's been in other movies, had other vehicles. She did not become a movie star post My Big Fat Greek Wedding. So she is not really bringing new fans to this movie. It's not like this is Pretty Woman 3 with Julia Roberts, where Julia Roberts has since become a giant star. Like Nia Vardalos didn't really take off in these 20 years.
No, the people who were there are there for her as her performance as Tula. The Tula heads are coming out.
Yeah, I mean, now what about, here's something, because I just rewatched this trailer before we got on air. So John Corbett is the co-star of this. The first movie is their romance.
Yes.
And in this trailer for My Big Fat Greek Wedding 3, there is pretty much no interaction between the John Corbett and Nia Vardalos characters in this movie. Like, there doesn't seem to be any effort to make that relationship be a hook for this movie. It's pretty much the Andrea Martin show in the trailer. So I don't know if that means that they're secretly divorced in this movie, or
no, they wouldn't do that. That
they wouldn't do that to the fans.
Before midnight situation. I don't think that's what they're doing. They are definitely still married in this. I could not see a world where they would do that.
Yeah. There just doesn't seem to be any romantic angle to the promotion of this movie, which the first one, of course, was a comedy about an ethnic family, but it was a romance. And this trailer, I mean, it's like we said at the top, this feels more horror than romance. This feels more of a movie about the never ending fight against time than it does a movie that promises romance.
One thing that's interesting about this that makes it different than the others is I believe she wrote the other two, but she's directing this one. And it's not her directorial debut. She directed a movie that you might remember from 2009, also starring her and John Corbett. It was called I Hate Valentine's Day. And I worked at a movie theater when that came out. It was a small release. It's an IFC film. As you're saying, she was not a movie star. She didn't break through. Like, that's the kind of stuff on her resume.
Right.
But I'm interested to see what people have to say about Big Fat Greek Wedding 3. I think because I missed 2, I just might be washing my hands of the situation until it's available at home.
Interesting. So, Clayton, you won't be seeing part 3 in theaters. You're doing an every other. You see the even numbered My Big Fat Greek Wedding movies in theaters.
Yeah, I'll be back for 4.
Well, when you establish a cadence, you have to follow.
Absolutely. So the thing with this film is that right now it's tracking behind such films as Book Club 2.
Yikes.
And
yikes.
Let's
did
see,
not open well.
Did not open well. Yeah. So this is the sort of thing that I don't think is going to do much in theaters. I think it'll do very well on streaming, obviously, but we're not streamer boys, huh?
Uh,
But just by putting this in a theater, it is going to give it more traction and more cultural clout than it would have gotten if they would have said, we're just going to put it on a streamer.
yep.
This
Right.
is the third movie and it's coming on a streamer. That is the death of a franchise. And they
Yeah.
Mhm.
are hoping that they can weather this sort of like strike to still have a theatrical movie that streams and then hopefully get some, interest for a fourth one if that's what they choose to do.
Yeah, and this seems like this will be on Peacock since if it's what Focus Features that
Yeah.
feeds up to Universal. So this will probably be on Peacock in time for Halloween.
Yeah. as all good horror movies should be.
Yeah.
Yes, it's a smart move. It's tactical. It was very smart.
Oh, my fault. Actually, it is slightly ahead of Book Club 2 in pre-sale trends. So
that means it's going to open between like 7 and 12. Like,
Yeah.
it's not going to be good.
yeah.
That's not a strong opening.
And I don't think older audiences are having trouble going back to the theater. They want to go back for something really big and important, and they
It's
don't
not
want
called My Big Fat Greek and Important Wedding.
Yeah. I mean, well, they don't want the best Marigold Hotel 2. They wanted the first one. They didn't want the second book club. They wanted the first one.
Yeah, well, when you call it the second best exotic Marigold Hotel, you're not really selling it very well.
True. So I do think that this is going to be pretty rough for this movie at the box office, especially going up against the Nun.
100%. You do not want to go up against Valak, the demon nun, at the box office. She has wiped the floor with others, and she will not hesitate to do it again.
Well, I mean, let's get into it. So the second of the two horror films this weekend is The Nun 2. And, a couple of weeks ago on this show, Clayton and I had Jeff Bach on from Exhibit Relations Co. We did our fall movie preview. And I was the outlier in that I was low on The Nun as a franchise. I thought this was in the decline. I thought that the first one, at least as I remembered it, was a movie that people didn't like. And so I thought everyone would jump off the habit, get out of the habit for Nun 2. But I mean, set us straight, Brett. What is the state right now of the Nun amongst hashtag horror lifestyles? Do people love this Nun franchise?
Well, I do think people like it more than I do. This was a movie I saw, I think opening day in IMAX even. I remember seeing The Nun because directed by Corin Hardy, this director who had done like a pretty small horror movie that I liked called The Hallow. He's an Irish filmmaker, I believe. No, English filmmaker, I believe. He made this movie I like. So, when they what do you call it? Like take someone from the minors and put them in the majors. You always hope that they do a good job. And The Nun was definitely very disappointing, despite having like the atmosphere that you want from a movie like that. Like it looked really nice and it looked the part, but the movie was just so boring and not scary that I literally couldn't tell you a thing about it. I haven't seen it since September 7th, 2018. Exactly how many years is that? 5 years ago?
5 years ago. And Clayton and I saw that in the theater too. We didn't think we did. We had to jog our memories, but then we realized we hadn't.
That's perfect.
Yeah.
That's perfect.
Yeah. And the thing that reminded us is Clayton asked, is that the movie where they ring a bell? And I was like,
oh, yeah.
Yes, they ring a bell. And
there's such cool ideas in that movie. Like the idea that like they're all praying in 24-hour shifts because they have to, stop the evil or whatever. There's such cool imagery and ideas, but the whole thing just doesn't come together. And I've actually heard some rumblings. I don't know how true they are. I haven't seen The Nun yet. I actually skipped there was a quadruple press screening tonight, a rare quadruple press screening is all at the same time. It was The Nun 2. It was My Big Fat Greek Wedding 3. It was A Haunting in Venice. And there's also a secret screening in New York that I did not get invited to, but I know about of the Martin Scorsese movie tied to the Venice premiere or whatever.
What? So, and they show all 4 of those movies in the same auditorium on 4 different screens?
Yeah, they're all actually. It's just scattered all over the place. Those are all 4 different companies that don't talk to each other. It's actually a huge pain in the ass for all the critics who need to cover all those things. I of course nobly said no to all of them so I could come and be here.
That's
At
Yes.
great.
BO Boys Podcast. I also like going to the movies, boots on the ground in my film
Mhm.
critic fatigues,
Yep.
going to the
Yes.
regular showings. People look at you and you get that look and the little salute. It's really nice.
Right. It's
Yeah.
like when a
You're among the civilians.
Yes.
but it's also like when a Times critic goes into a restaurant, or like someone from who gives out the Michelin stars when they go into a restaurant, people they know, oh, hey, that's Brett is here. Brett from The New Flesh is here. Let's make sure the popcorn kernels are fully popped.
Yeah, I got my pens clicking.
Yeah.
I got my little notepad, very obnoxiously taking notes during a public screening of a film. That'll be me tomorrow at the NUN, so I could talk about it today with you guys.
Nice.
Happy to be here. So in terms of box office, well, we all know the elephant. Let's get the elephant out of the room here. The NUN
kill
is the highest grossing worldwide of the Conjuring franchise, of
Yeah.
which this is a part.
It's
There
the biggest
are-
opening weekend ever of the whole Conjuring universe. 53 million.
53 million, biggest opening, 363 worldwide, 117 domestic, which the only one that beats that domestic is Conjuring original flavor.
Yep.
So I do think there's interest, if only because like the last Conjuring movie came out in June 2021. It was The Devil Made Me Do It. It came out the same day on HBO Max. It didn't have the same luster as like the previous franchise entries, and I feel like it didn't open nearly as well either, but that's for a number of reasons. You can't really fault that movie's box office. All those movies are like experiment asterisks as far as I'm concerned, and it still made $200 million worldwide actually. So it's like totally fine. But I don't. I would say, as a fan of horror, like I was definitely burned by The Nun. But I said this on the podcast before. The thing about horror fans is they love to give things another chance. Like we're all hoping that The Nun 2 is awesome. And what I was trying to say at some point, but I started rambling, was I've heard boots on the ground from a couple people who went to the press screening in other cities last night that The Nun 2 is much better than the first Nun.
Okay.
Wow.
And there's a few horror fans who said, yes, this is what I want out of this. So this happens to me all the time where I get falsely excited. It's like Lucy kicking the football. But I am now I'm kind of excited for The Nun, a movie I had no expectations for because of the low expectations I had leaving The Nun in 2018. Now I'm kind of like, I'm not just going to tick the box of horror. I'm going in hope that this is like the Nun horror movie I hope it
Okay.
to be,
So, Scott Mendelsohn, of course, box office legend, box office icon, he coined the famous Tomb Raider trap, which is a bad first movie that makes a ton of money, but people don't like it. And then they follow up with a well-made sequel that
The Cradle of Life.
bombs. Right. Exactly. Cradle of Life, Tomb Raider 2, great movie, or Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Michael Bay series.
Out of the Shadows.
Out of the Shadows.
Out of Shadows, excellent, but it bombed because the first one, which was a hit, was
which
very bad.
Famously learned on this podcast was a live action movie.
Yes, historic moment on the BO Boys. But is that a potential situation with Nun 2, even if it is good? Or like you said, Brett, do horror fans not fall into the Tomb Raider trap because they'll go see a sequel to a movie they didn't like because they're just more giving?
I think if there was a different Nun horror movie that wasn't connected with the Nun, it would also do fine. Like, I just think horror fans tend to show up. There's this, I hate to, as a white man, like talk about demographic trends in movies that are like, it just feels crass to me in a weird way. But like, there's all this reporting around the time of the Nun, and you can find it around other releases. Like there was a whole Paranormal Activity movie that they were very crudely talking about. We made this because the box office says Latinos are the biggest portion of our audience. So we're going to make a Paranormal Activity movie. Yeah, the marked ones with, I think, had some Spanish language in the movie and Latin characters and stuff like that. So the Nun, the box office story around the Nun in 2018, I remember, was a lot of headlines about the movie getting a huge boost from Latino audiences. And I think if you look it up, opening weekend, 36% was Latino, and that's like up from 17% for The Conjuring and 26% for last year's Annabelle creation. And then you could actually find your boy Jeff Bach in this article in 2018 talking about, in general, Latinos are a big part of the horror box office, but especially for films like The Nun that take a heavy religious skew, that Catholic aspect of Mexican culture likely played a factor. So, and like you can, there's, quotes from the CCO and co-president of New Line and Warner Brothers talking about, we saw that the movies were overperforming with Hispanic audiences. So they did test screenings in San Antonio instead of Los Angeles and like tooled the movie that way. And you'll remember they did a whole movie called The Curse of La Llorona, which is another one of those. So like their money is there, I feel like. So I feel like The Nun, because of all those factors combined, I feel like it's going to be fine. Like it's not going to open to 53 like the first one did. And it's very rare for a sequel to outperform the original. It happens, but it's very rare. Like the Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse thing was exciting because it was so rare. And The Nun 2, not going to do 53, but it could do, low end 35, high end 40s, like something like that. Is that the tracking?
Yeah, it's tracking between that like 33 to like 42. And now that's the thing, Pat, is like when you're saying this is going to be a failure or you're low on it.
Right.
I mean, I don't think any of us expected this to reach the heights of what the original Nun did.
Right.
For the reasons you stated, obviously the first movie was not liked, but Brett saying that horror fans, the horror hounds, the goreheads are a little bit more
We're forgiving and hopeful, yes.
Yeah, than general audiences tend to be.
Mm-hmm.
I think the other factor we're not talking about here is that 2018 is when The Nun came out. That was the height of the fanaticism over anything shared universe. Anything that was cinematic universe was the thing. 2018 was Marvel, full steam ahead, heading towards Endgame. This Conjuring universe being a thing that was, I got to see the next installment of the Conjuring universe. That was a thing that people were very invested in. That is not the case now. Shared universes, cinematic universes,
they're out.
They're out. They feel like cash-ins. And you're seeing with Marvel, they don't reap rewards long term. So we are seeing a little bit of the puttering out of cinematic universes. And I think The Nun could suffer from that. But then also Latino, Hispanic audiences, we've talked about it a lot on this podcast because they go see movies, not just horror movies. They go see all the movies.
Yeah.
So they also do a lot of walk-up business. So the tracking is not necessarily always accurate with these sorts of movies because they'll say, hey, when we're done doing this other thing, let's head to the movies and see what's playing. Oh, The Nun 2's playing? All right.
That would help explain why the tracking's always so fucking off on horror movies.
Yeah.
It really would. Because, walk-up business definitely is to account for all those things. Yeah. What do you think, Stango?
So I mean, I think a big question heading into this weekend, because this is the first Nun sequel, and this is the movie that's going to kind of determine, is the Nun herself going to become a horror icon? Or
Valak,
is she
the demon nun?
Yes. Is she an icon, or is she a one and done nun? Will she listen? We're not saying next Freddy, all that. I mean, that would be ridiculous, but is she going to be able to get into that tier where we're seeing a Nun 4, Nun 5 someday? Diminishing returns, but this second one's going to determine whether this is a sequel to a successful movie or this is a full-on side franchise. I mean, do you think she's got it? That first movie, none of us really liked it, but she's got a nice ugly,
presence.
Scary face.
Yeah, I do like Valak, the demon nun, and I love that the nun actress, Bonnie Aarons, in the midst of all this strike stuff, actually sued Warner Brothers and New Line because they say she didn't make all the money she was supposed to off of her likeness from this movie. Because she actually, I feel like if you look at the numbers from the lawsuit, the amount of money she made to be the star of this movie, it was like basically, I feel like SAG minimum. It was like she did not make it barely any money because she's not a name actress, but she's the face of this fucking franchise.
Yep.
Yeah.
So I hope she
franchise.
I hope she gets her money, first of all.
Is that lawsuit can I just throw this out there? That lawsuit to me, she's SAG, she's on strike like Clayton. She's, on strike with SAG.
But she's probably in good standing, I assume.
Yeah, Clayton is behind on his dues.
7,100. 70. Sorry, I'm gonna say that you can cut this part out. Me rambling if you do edits.
It's a raw feed, so fuck it. We're doing it live.
All right, we're doing it live. Paid the paltry sum of $71,500.
Wow,
in the NUN.
Terrible.
That's so low. Now she can't promote the film, but I feel like this lawsuit is kind of good sneaky promotion because it just gets the NUN out there, gets her name out there. It's like, if you can't go on a talk show to promote your movie, maybe sue the studio right before opening weekend, get some articles about the movie out there.
I hope other actors are listening to the show. I know they are, actually.
Of course, they all listen.
Of course.
I hope they take notes because that is a great idea. Everyone should be suing in lieu of doing press right now. I think that's a really smart idea. $71,000, and she said she was due to have a $175,000 bonus tied to the box office on top of a share of the profits from merchandise with her character, and she never saw any of that shit. So she is suing, and yet she still appears. She was game as fuck to do the NUN 2. I hope she got a better deal for the NUN 2, but the suit dropping right before the movie comes out makes it sound like maybe not.
Yeah, she probably didn't get it, but yeah, I mean, listen, it could be a work. It could be a, hey, why don't you sue us? We'll get in all the trades. We'll get some articles there, and then we'll settle this afterwards after the movie.
Oh, so this is all kayfabe.
Yes, yeah. I mean, that's what I'm thinking is a possibility. She may be suing them because she deserves more than 71,000. That's for sure. But maybe they worked this out ahead of time, and they're like, yeah, just sue us. You can't go on Johnny. You can't go on Dave this week. So just sue us.
If it's not that, I just think it's a really good example of how, a lot of people will look at the strike and be like, oh, these fucking actors making all this money. Why do I care? They shouldn't be striking. They're fine. It's like, no, this lady's literally on the poster for this movie in the trailer. The movie's called The Nun. She's the nun. Yes, she's not an A-list actress, but you'd think she would be able to buy a house with that money or something. And it's crazy that it's so little.
I would bet you that the doll in Annabelle got paid more than the nun did for their appearance in the films. And that's just not right.
Mm-hmm.
It isn't right.
Yeah. You should for sure be able to buy a Malibu beach house if you land the role of the nun in The Nun. I mean, that movie opened to $54 million. This actress deserves a house. For sure.
And I'm seeing that Brahms, my boy Brahms, the boy, the titular boy, actually got paid more than Annabelle. And that's just pure sexism because he's just not the bigger draw at the box office. But he is a man, so I guess here we go.
Yeah.
A lot of systemic issues in Hollywood, people.
The Conjuring universe really brings sexism in the workplace home more than any other franchise. I mean,
Brahms is technically not in the Conjuring universe.
He's
just
not.
To
You're
clarify to the gore heads because we would get
they were gonna
plastered. Yeah,
they would jump down your throat for sure.
I mean, looking at this Conjuring universe franchise, you actually do see an uptick in all the franchises and the side franchises from the first movie's opening weekend to the second, or about the same. Annabelle opens at 37. Annabelle Creation opened 3 years later.
Annabelle Creation, just want to say, really good movie. Like one of my favorites of this franchise for sure. Underrated.
So not a big drop off of there.
That's the horror fans giving another chance. That's
100%.
That's
exactly fucking right. Because I hated Annabelle.
Yeah,
hated Annabelle. Thought it was terrible. Couldn't believe that it's a movie with the doll at the center, but the doll really isn't doing anything, like moving or like being a part of the action. It was like a haunted others thing, if you remember. It was really dumb. But the Creation, gave it a second chance. The same amount of people showed up opening weekend.
Yeah, because I think horror fans, like you were saying, they know a good concept when they see it, and they want someone to succeed with that concept. They're not going to just throw that concept off, like a baby in the bathwater. They're going to say, it's a possessed doll. Let's run this back and see what can happen. And it was good. Ouija, I think, is a similar
Oh yeah.
situation, right? The first Ouija movie was terrible, and then the second Ouija movie, people really, really liked.
Yeah, Mike Flanagan made like a real horror movie out of it, and it's great. Definitely check out Ouija: Origin of Evil if you haven't seen it.
Yeah, so when you look at these Conjuring movies, the second movies in the franchises do almost as well on opening weekend as the first ones did, but The Curse of La Lorna, which is the person who directed that film, is directing Nun 2.
And
That
also
opened
directed Devil Made Me Do It, yes.
and directed Devil Made Me Do It. That opened in April 2019, opened to only 26 million, and that is a little bit of a dividing line between the heyday of the Conjuring
Well,
films, peaked
do
with
you
the Nun
remember
and then what came afterwards.
do you remember how tenuous the connection
Mhm.
to the Conjuring universe
Mhm.
that movie was? Like they didn't even I don't think it was a thought of to be part of it until like the day it came out, and then they were like, oh, by the way, we threw a scene in that mentioned something from the Conjuring, and then they did have a poster that said like the Conjuring or something. It
Mhm.
was very last minute, kind of fake out, sort of in name only a Conjuring universe movie. Yeah.
Like a Cloverfield paradox situation.
Yeah, it's definitely like, well, this would help our numbers if we threw this in there, so let's pretend it's a part of this. But it really, I feel like, was conceived as something that was not a part of the universe, but it
Yeah,
ended up
that's
being part of one.
I don't really I'm glad you covered that because I remembered that, and that's why I don't think we can really look at that as a Conjuring
It's weird.
universe
I wouldn't either.
movie.
Yeah.
So, unless we start seeing like the Nun open to 20, or we need to have more data than that one to say that the
Yeah.
Conjuring universe is really done or waning.
Yeah, it's
Mhm.
because that 2021 stat is so asterisk because of COVID and because of HBO Max thing.
Yeah.
So yeah, this is definitely an interesting test. I'm pretty sure the Conjuring 4 is happening, right? So I feel like they already have that main, I mean, clearly the last one was a disappointment and it made 200 million worldwide. So
Right.
they
right.
will still, there's still stuff in that well, but I guess this will be definitely a point where we find out if they're going to be worried about Conjuring 4.
Yeah, I mean, we mentioned earlier that the Hispanic, Latin audiences, Latino audiences come out big for these movies and came out big for the first Nun. Something that I'm surprised they didn't do is, at least I could tell from the trailer, it's not like they really added any value in the cast here by casting a popular Hispanic, Latino actor in it.
They
It's still
cast,
Vera
isn't,
Farmiga's sister is still
I
the
think
lead.
Storm Reed was added, who's not Latino, I don't think, but she's like definitely like a younger Gen Z play, I feel like.
Okay.
Who like I know her from a bunch of indie movies, but I feel like maybe there's like a TV context that younger people know her in. I'm not exactly sure.
Mhm.
But she's definitely an addition to the cast. But yeah, it does seem like it's still just the Farmiga show.
Yes.
Storm Reed is in Euphoria.
Okay.
And the last time I said an actress was in Euphoria, I was wrong. But this time, I'm pretty sure I'm right.
I think
Yes.
she's her sister. Yeah, I think she's Rue's sister. Little
Okay.
sister. Yeah, on that show.
Yes. And she's the lead in Missing, which was the
Yes.
sort of sequel
Yeah.
to Searching.
Searching,
So
yeah.
you're right. Storm Reed in Nun 2 could be a value add. That's for sure. The trailer doesn't really focus on her. It focuses on Vera Farmiga's sister and on the nun herself. But you're right. This could be a star who gets a younger, more diverse audience in the church there.
You really have to search to know that she's in it, though. You're right. Like I'm not.
Yeah.
There's not a lot of production stills or trailer images I'm seeing. 'Cause I haven't watched the trailer because I
Yeah.
do not watch trailers or try not to. So yeah, you're right. They're not really front loading that Storm Reed is in this, but I thought it was cool that she's in it, and it's also written by Akela Cooper, or at least a draft of it was, because there's a few names on it. But Akela Cooper, you may know as the writer of *Malignant*, which I love very much,
Oh,
and the
nice.
writer of *Megan*. So like, it's a
Okay.
hot screenwriter, which that's another reason why I'm like, this is going to be better than the first one. Actually,
Wow.
Yeah.
That, I guess that doesn't fit tone wise, but
it
you
doesn't
would
feel like it does, right? Yeah.
but there would have been, I think it would have been worth getting in from the writer of Megan ahead of the Nun, and then in that trailer. It's a totally different tone. And you don't want the Nun to turn campy this early into the franchise. Like the Nun will become campy at some point, but
Yeah.
you try not to do it in the second
Yeah,
one.
right now it's got that Hammer horror atmospheric
Right.
aesthetic, right?
And by
Right.
number 5, she'll be making rosary puns. She'll be making puns about
Calling
the
everybody
confessional.
bitch.
Yeah,
Like
I mean,
Freddy Krueger.
Yeah.
that may happen. Now, to go back, Pat, to your question, because we have, our horror correspondent here. Does the Nun have what it takes to be a franchise as opposed to, there's a few, Annabelle might get another movie, right? We don't know for sure. Is there one in the planning stages for Annabelle at this point?
No, the only planning stage thing I know about is Conjuring 4, which I haven't heard an update on in like a year, so it very well may be dead also. But
Okay.
no, there was at one point talk of something called the Crooked Man, who I believe is in the Conjuring 2, and like there's like a scene where they do like the classic Justice League flash drive scene where they're like, here's a few characters you might see in the future.
Mhm.
And
I
I feel
love
like
it.
the Crooked Man was one, and they promised that was a James Wan produced thing that was happening for a while that fell
Yeah.
off the calendar. But yeah, there's no Annabelle on the calendar. There's only The Nun 2, Conjuring 4, and if this opens huge though, we're getting something. Maybe the Crooked
Yeah.
Man's back on the table.
Right.
So
right.
yeah, because and then you see some other non-Conjuring universe, sort of like Sinister. Sinister had 2 movies. We thought Bagul would be making moves and doing stuff, but
Yeah.
we only got 2 Bagul movies. So you can come out
Shannon
of the gate hot.
Sossaman's busy. She can't keep doing them.
She can't. Yeah, she can't
She's
come back for
touring.
number 3
with war paint or whatever.
Oh, what a great pool! She's no longer in Warpaint, but her sister is. But yeah, she started that band.
Yeah, it's so cool. It's just like blew my mind when I think I was at a live show for Warpaint and discovered that. I was like, is that Shannon Sossaman? Like,
yeah, it was her
several
sister
years
who
ago.
looks
Yeah,
just like her. So anyway, we are all on the opinion that this is the one that's going to make or break it. So 2 hits, then there's a 3. I mean, this seems like obvious, but this thing, there's not like, oh, we're going to do 3, 4 no matter what. This is going to be the one that either makes the Nun a Bagul or a Freddy.
Right. I mean, we've had in the last year, I would say, one clear entry into being a new horror, maybe not icon, but we talked a year ago about this character can now sit at the table with Freddy, with Jason.
You're talking about Art
the Clown. Art the Clown.
Clown.
Yeah.
So, Art the Clown walks into that dining room. Freddy kicks out an empty chair for him to take a seat. The Nun is not in that room yet. The Nun walks in now. They tell her to go fuck herself. Let's be honest. Yeah. And the Nun could get herself into that conversation, but she's got to open to, I think, 40 million plus to be in that conversation.
You mentioning that the sequels have all like done the same. I wouldn't, I said it before, I don't think it's going to do as well, but like it also wouldn't surprise me if it just did do 50. And you're like, oh yeah, people, of course, they love the Nun.
Yeah. Is there any before we get into our predictions for the weekend, is there any crossover or cannibalization that could happen this weekend with the Nun 2 Big Fat Greek 3 audience? Like, are Andrea Martin fans, or is there anyone who's like, I don't know if I want to be scared this weekend by Andrea Martin or by the Nun, and they have to make that hard decision?
I think Barbenheimer trained everyone to just see everything like this as like a fun opportunity. So you're going to get my Big Fat Greek Nun going on Twitter.
It's interesting you bring that up, because Barbenheimer, Saw Patrol was the one that, studios tried to start, but my Big Fat Greek and Nun 2, that is a much more fun one that I have not even thought of until you mentioned it. No one tried to get that started, and that to me feels like a lost art. It really just goes to show that people did not know my Big Fat Greek Wedding.
That is what I was going to say. Ding, ding, ding. It's a lack of awareness of that movie. And again, Mandela effect of people either thinking the sequel was 20 years ago or doesn't exist. It's an issue.
Yeah.
It's an issue.
Now, here's a question, because we were talking crossover. Now, Brett, how familiar are you with the Equalizer films?
Oh, seen them all.
Okay. Now, that character in that film, all three of them, especially the first one, and I heard in the third one, that he basically is a slasher
100%.
hero
Yes.
because the way he murders his victims is very akin to how a slasher would. Now, is there any sort of crossover there? Could Robert McCall, the character from The Equalizer, could he be cannibalizing some of the horror fans? Because he does some crazy. That first one at the end in the
Buddy.
warehouse store
Yeah,
is
the
insanely slasher-esque.
hurricane slasher film. Yeah, it's really cool.
Yeah.
And the third one, I would say, I don't know if I guess I can't say it's the most violent just because it has like 2 or 3 scenes that are really violent, and then the movie's kind of more contemplative than the other ones.
Yeah.
But it has some of the most inventive, gratuitous, disgusting, totally horror movie violence that I've ever seen in a movie. It is
Yeah.
like gun through a man's face type of violence. It is wild.
Wow.
So that's an interesting point. And I do think Equalizer is going to hold pretty well. I mean, again, you guys talk about Mr. Consistency at the box office this last weekend? Because
Oh yeah.
Equalizer, all those movies made the exact same amount opening weekend, which is so
Yeah.
Pretty much.
interesting. And it's all just Denzel. Like, that's 100% what that is. That is raw movie star power.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think it'll hold. I don't have the numbers. I have to look up what the other ones did, but I feel like it'll hold fine. I don't think it will. I don't know. I guess if the Nun opens to less than 30, I would say that wasn't a factor, but I don't think
Mhm.
it will be.
The thing with Equalizer its second weekend is this is football season. Kickoff of football season. That
Yeah,
is going to
tomorrow
hurt
night.
Equalizer 3 more than it's going to hurt the Nun because I feel like yes, young people watch football, but also young people watch football, go to movies, go to
Yeah.
raves, go to football, like high school football games. They do 1,000 things on a weekend where an
Right.
adult man or an adult woman does maybe 5 things
Yeah.
and then is exhausted by it.
Right. A young person who wants to see the Nun, they might be a football fan, but they'll watch the football game on their phone while they're on their Razor scooter on their way to the movie theater. But an older Equalizer viewer
Yeah.
is going to want to watch the football game on their big screen TV on their Lazy Boy. They're not going to want to watch a football game on their phone on the way to the theater.
I like to
Yeah.
think Sony knows this though, and they're gonna program the fuck out of the Super Bowl out of the opening day football broadcast with
Yep.
Equalizer TV spots. Get those dads watching to make plans for after the game. Maybe put a QR code on screen and have
Yes.
them buy tickets. Tell them it's like the 21st century Uncle Tom's Cabin and get them in
Right.
there.
Have I guess Denzel can't do it, but you have like a Denzel lookalike
Sure.
sort
Yeah.
of like come on the field and cut a ref's throat, and of course
Yeah.
it's fake knife,
It's
fake
CGI.
blood,
Yeah.
CGI, but
Yeah.
cut a ref's throat during the coin toss, and you shoot it far enough away so you say, "Oh, there's Denzel Washington. There's the
Yeah.
Equalizer." You don't say Denzel's name,
And
you
then they
just
have
say,
him sit at a table and like fold a napkin meticulously because he
Yep.
has OCD. So you're like, oh, it's the Equalizer, Denzel.
So he really is a horror villain. I mean, like the Equalizer,
A
should
horror
sit-
hero.
a
He's
horror
a horror
hero.
hero.
Yeah,
That's the
he should-
subversion. Yeah.
But he should sit at that table with Freddy, Jason, Art the Clown. Like the Equalizer would be welcome at that table.
Welcome to the table, bitch. That's what Freddy
Yeah.
Krueger would say to
Yeah.
Robert McCall.
The nicest thing
Chucky-
he could ever
Chucky-
say.
And Chucky would be in the high chair, of course.
Yeah. He wouldn't be
Chucky's-
happy about it.
Yeah.
No, he wouldn't be. He'd be complaining about it. But
Yeah.
I don't know. Robert McCall would probably be against those horror icons. That would be an interesting meeting if he walked into our room
Yeah.
like that.
They might all get equalized. I'm not going to lie.
It's possible.
Yeah.
Well, now
would they
before-
welcome Andrea Martin's character from My Big Fat Greek Wedding into there? She would just start squirting them with Windex, and then they would cut her up something fierce. Probably.
Yeah, I don't know if that's what the Andrea Martin heads want to see, but I would see it. I'd be interested.
Yeah, I think that's a good crossover.
Now, Brett, quickly before we do our top fives.
Are we gonna do a plow?
Well, no, because we do the plow.
I know.
We do
I'm
the
just
plow
kidding.
after.
I'm getting ahead of myself. I'm excited.
You're getting ahead. But speaking of getting ahead, we've got this Taylor Swift movie coming out in October.
Oh, yeah.
And we've got The Exorcist movie moving
Yeah.
away from Extra Swift. Now, what is your take on this? We think it was a mistake. We
Well,
think it was a big mistake.
I
But
don't
prove us wrong.
I
Prove us
don't
wrong.
disagree on principle. Like, I think it was a mistake to not just like seize on that demand and be like, let's do it. Taylor's, Extra Swift. Let's put money behind that and make it a Barbenheimer situation. I feel like everyone wants to do that nowadays. But at the same time, I think maybe it was a smart idea, because then now they can own that full week ahead of Taylor Swift dominating. But I mean, how dominant can it be? I mean, yes, she's going to sell out whatever screens they allot her, I think will sell out. But movie theaters have, 18 screens. So I think there's plenty of room for Exorcist. It doesn't feel like they're cannibalizing each other. So I think it was a smart play. I think I endorsed the move, if only because it's a generating free headlines move. They got every publication on earth to write about The Exorcist getting moved because of Taylor Swift. Everyone loves a headline like that where you're like, just the summer of Taylor. Taylor's so powerful. She can move a movie. So everybody wrote that up. Everyone knows now. There's so much more awareness around not only The Exorcist existing, and like I think people now know it exists and when it comes out, which they probably didn't a week ago. So I think it's all a net positive for The Exorcist that Taylor Swift took the date.
Interesting.
That's an interesting take. You don't think there's any level of The Exorcist is scared. The Exorcist is running in fear. The Exorcist is supposed to instill fear. It does not run in fear. I feel like it makes Exorcist as a movie look like a wimp. That's my take. Now, will the general public feel that way? Probably not. But there could be a few people who say, if you're so confident in your movie, take on Taylor Swift.
You're going to lose the alphas. You're going to lose some alphas.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
See, exactly. That's why I'm jumping off the boat.
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting. I get why they did it in the sense that they want to open up number one. They Oppenheimer was able to have an incredible run and overperform and all that, but it didn't get the credit or the ability to market itself as the number one movie in America, which is, for whatever that is worth, it's worth something to studios. And it seems like they just were determined to have The Exorcist Believer movie has to open up number one, which wouldn't have happened if they kept it on October 13th.
Do you know, I haven't even looked at the listings, but like, it's not just like a one night event. It's like the movie's playing and it has like a week of dates.
Oh, Taylor Swift is a full-on movie run.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's a movie run.
So it is playing
So it will be number one in your prediction. Like,
it's going to make over 100 million domestic opening weekend, like almost guaranteed. This is going to be gigantic.
Is there precedent? What's the precedent for something like this?
In terms of
for
concert films, nothing.
Like there isn't,
Nothing.
because like they usually, there's like the Justin Bieber Never Say Never or whatever. There's like examples of them, but they don't. Why does this feel so radically different?
Well, because she did it herself. She's releasing it herself.
Well, yeah, that whole strategy with like going straight to AMC and then cutting a deal with other studios to pay AMC is really nuts, or other theaters.
Rabid fan base for somebody at the height of their popularity, and the concert tickets are impossible to get.
You're right.
And hyper expensive if you don't somehow get them. The demand for this tour is unprecedented. It's probably the closest thing, and our Kirk Minahan said this on his show, was Michael Jackson during his Thriller height.
Sure. I was going to say it's like if Beatlemania could have been streamed to the theater, like it would have been that level of crazy. Yeah.
And that's the thing is, I'm a Taylor Swift fan. Brett, you might not be, but
nothing against her.
Yeah, but the thing is that this is really the height of her powers, and this is just all coalescing in a perfect storm because you're losing Dune 2. It's moving. There's IMAXs available.
Oh my God.
You have all these young women who came back to theaters because of Barbie, and older women, and now you've got Taylor Swift with the hottest ticket in all of the land coming to theaters. It's just an unprecedented storm. And that's why I understand why, the Exorcist movie moved. But I would rather be at the crest of that wave, the top of that wave, than be on the beach watching this thing coming at me. That's what I'm saying.
I totally get it. I just think they can have it both ways. Like the movie's still out on the 13th with Taylor. People can still do Extra Swift. I hope they still have fun with that idea, even though they moved the movie a week in advance. But I do think it was more a crude marketing play of let's just do this and then generate press.
How
press.
upset and listen, Brett, we'd love to have you on when that movie opens up closer to that weekend. But how upset and this is what Universal, right? How upset must they be that not only do they have to move, they're giving up the Friday the 13th date.
That's what's smart
to a non-horror movie.
Yeah, that hurts. As someone who was born on Friday the 13th. September 13th, 1991.
Wow.
Oh, happy early birthday.
Oh yeah, thank you. It's very soon.
Oh, this is our early birthday present to you, is you're going to get to pick whether you want to go first, second, or third in giving your weekend predictions for this box office weekend. That is our present to you. Also, guests always get to do that, but consider it a birthday present.
I want to be boy sandwich. I want to be in the middle.
Wow. Never ever been chosen to go in the middle. That is incredible. I mean, that is it. You want to be the middle of the human centipede, and that shows you are a true #horror lifestyle liver.
Yeah, I'm a wannabe boy.
All right, so Clayton, would you like to then go first, be the front of this prediction human centipede?
I'd love to. So number one, I think slam doink, the Nun 2.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to go a little high on this one because of the walk-up business. I'm going to say this thing makes 38.
Okay.
38 opening. Number two, I think Equalizer is number two. I think it's probably going to make around 14 or so. So a little over 50% for its drop. Number three, I'm going to go Big Fat Greek Wedding 3, but I'm going to say it only makes like $7 million.
Wow. Okay.
Under that, I'm going to say Barbie, still holding strong.
Hey, Barbie.
Let's go party. And then underneath that, I'm going to go with Oppenheimer, just because I want a little reunion between the two. It's been a while since they've been next to each other.
Touching.
So I want to see them touching. So that is my top five.
Great top five. So birthday boy to be, Brett, can you give us your top five predictions for this weekend?
I'm going to go with the Nun 2 is at number one. And just based on our conversation and all the research we did while we were talking, I'm like hotter on the Nun than ever. I think Nun is going to open to $42 million at the box office at number one. If Equalizer 3 can open to 34, I feel like the Nun can do that. So number two would then be the Equalizer 3 with a respectable like $18 million.
Okay.
And then number three, I think I'm going to go with Barbie. With God, is that a stupid thing to say? I think Barbie's going to do 7, and I think Big Fat Greek Wedding is going to be right under that at like 6. And then I think Oppenheimer is going to be in fifth place with, something like 4.5 or something.
That is not a silly thing at all, Brett, because I am thinking the exact same thing. And we'll get to it. I think my Big Fat Greek is going to bomb, but we'll start with the Nun. And I've been convinced, especially when we look at how great these holds are in the Conjuring franchise from the first movie to the second movie. So I think the Nun's going to do 40. I mean, a couple of weeks ago, I thought this was going to bomb, and I'm feeling it. You're right. Are you
seeing the press or anything or marketing? Like, I feel like maybe I'm missing a lot of TV spots or something because I'm just not watching TV. Because I feel like that's a huge factor here, and I just don't know. I'm kind of flying blind.
The Nun,
Yeah.
For me, I watch a lot of YouTube on
Okay.
my television,
A lot
and
of
I get
skipping
fed.
nun
Uh,
trailers.
I get a lot of interstitial sort of nun trailers, scaring
Okay.
the bejesus out of me when I'm just trying to watch my video essays at night in bed.
Mm-hmm.
As one
Yeah.
Little
does.
glimpse into my life.
Yeah.
And I think that's probably a pretty good comp to what they're doing on television. I'm sure there are a
All
lot of
right.
nun. Now, the thing we didn't get, and we didn't get to this as far as marketing, they didn't put any nuns, as far as I know, behind home plate at baseball games the way they did Smilers when Smile came out. And probably harder to get an out of work actor into a baseball stadium in a full nun garb.
No, I think they should reach out to real nunneries and get
Mhm.
nuns in on this.
Oh, that's great. So because you can't throw them out because they just show their ID. I'm an actual nun and I want to sit
Yeah.
behind home plate. Yeah.
And you get to sit anywhere you want in the stadium. Yeah.
Yes. 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 You could, if you're a nun going to a baseball game, you could tell someone to get up from their seat
Yeah.
and you sit there.
Like
Yeah.
squatters' rights, but for nuns.
Yeah. Warner Brothers, if Warner Brothers had done that gimmick and got some nuns behind home plate this past weekend, this movie opens to 55. But
Now,
think
you
you're
know
right.
what's very interesting, and not to interrupt your top 5, Pat, but I feel like it's worth it, is that I was on a long walk yesterday, as I'm wont to
okay.
do, and I was down by the I'm not gonna say where I was, but I was by a body of water in New York City,
Okay.
and I saw 2 nuns, not in scary makeup, but just in the full garb,
Mm-hmm.
cycling by me, and I don't think I've seen a nun in full getup in a very long time, so I don't know
Right.
if they were coming from a viral event, if that was the viral event to remind you that nuns exist. I
Yeah.
mean, as
They
a
just
Catholic
sent
school,
nuns on bikes all over the city.
because you don't even have to set them up as scary. You just have to remind people that nuns are a thing and that
Right.
they will send shivers down your spine, even if they're not evil nuns.
Right.
Because, like you were mentioning, Brett, like I'm a Catholic school guy. I remember nuns being a scary form of authority in my school. So just
Right.
seeing them, and they were young nuns, but they felt to me still like they had authority over me, and that sent a shiver down my spine, so that could have been promotion.
Right, right. Just young nuns in trouble going around the city.
I think it's really smart that Sony is re-releasing Saving Silverman a week in advance of the Nun to let people know. There's a big Nun subplot of that movie,
Yeah.
and I think it will, just like you're saying, just like jog the memory of, oh my God, nuns, and get
Yeah,
people thinking about it. And then like the Nun 2 will drop, and then they're ready for it.
yeah. And Jason Biggs will become a star no matter what. Like we will still make this happen.
Yes, I think so.
So yeah, I'm back in the habit with this nun. I think the nun gets to 40 is number one. Equalizer number 2, and yes, 17, 18 million feels right. It'll be a low 50% drop there. And I'm Barbie number 3. I mean, I think it made 10 million last weekend on a 32% drop. If it does similar, that's like a $7 million weekend for Barbie, 7.5. I don't think there's any way My Big Fat Greek Wedding gets to 7.5. I think this is a movie that could possibly cry macho, Clayton.
Ooh. So
I
you're
think
saying this is like in the 4?
I think so. I think this is a movie that's number 4. We could have Oppenheimer 4 and My Big Fat Greek Wedding 5. And I'm just going to
Oh,
go that way because
wow.
I just have no reason to believe. I believe in the Nun, but I do not believe in Andrea Martin with this Windex spray bottle. I think she's number 5. I think this is number 5.
Wow. So for all the new listeners, because we have a bunch of new listeners, a cry macho means it makes around 4.4, which is what Cry Macho made in the theaters. Wow, you're saying this thing could cry macho. That is
Yeah,
devastating for Nia Vidalis.
yeah, yeah. I think it cries macho. And then nothing else of note. I mean, Gran Turismo is dropping like a stone. Blue Beetle's holding okay, all
Oh, can
that,
we
but
talk about one thing that you may have talked about this on a past episode, but I think it's so funny.
go for it.
The front loading of Gran Turismo on that Friday, which a
Yeah.
hilarious thing anyway. Did you see how that led to it having an 82% drop Friday to Friday?
You know what? You made your bed and now you got to sleep in it.
Yep,
Blue Beetle.
100%.
Or Gran
100%.
Turismo, I mean.
Yeah,
Gran
Gran
Turismo.
Blue Beetle
The
also
only
had some problems, I feel like.
The only thing that saved Sony is that they then had Denzel opening to number 1 legitimately.
Yeah.
And, doing Buffa Bobo. So, yes, Sony did pull a bonehead move. I don't think it's going to keep people from trying it again, but they're definitely in the headlines for a bad reason with Gran Turismo. The only thing is that Equalizer kind of wiped that thing out of any sort of conversation.
Yep. So, I mean, I think we did it, Brett. Of course, we were going to want to have you on again around the time of Exorcist Believer, and we could talk at that point, see how Saw did. We're a few weeks away from Saw. Just quick temperature check. On our seasonal preview, our fall preview, I was big on Saw. Clayton and Jeff Bach were mocking me for being so into the Saw trailer.
They will rue the day because
Thank you.
movie is going to be the biggest in the franchise, at least opening weekend wise, I think.
Wait, the biggest ever in the franchise?
Yeah. I don't think it has a high bar to clear for the opening weekend. I think it's like $32 million or something. I think it absolutely does that. I feel like this might be a case of me projecting my horror lifestyle onto the general audiences, but I think we were all let down by Spiral, and this is such a classic example of a horror fans being forgiving. And this is like the studio acknowledging that the last one sucked and doing a course correct, because all the marketing is, sorry, we didn't put Jigsaw in the last one. Jigsaw's in this one more than ever. It takes place between Saws 1 and 2 or something.
It does, yeah.
So it's just like, hey, if you like Saw, like, remember it's such a nostalgic thing for me to think about going to a Saw movie every year in October. And I got that warm, fuzzy feeling back. I'm really excited about my time with Jigsaw. And I feel like just because of the general rule of horror at the box office, horror always wins, horror always overperforms. People don't see it, people don't see it coming. I feel like Saw will quietly make, like, I don't know, 35-40 opening weekend at least.
The high of the franchise, you're right. It is $33.6 million for Saw 3.
Third one? Yeah, exactly.
And then 4 and 5 both did 31-30. So
Mr. Consistency, though, that franchise as well.
And then you saw the drop off. But I agree. I think this movie is going to be a big nostalgia kick. And Clayton mocked me for this, but I do think that trailer is just better.
I haven't seen it.
You don't see trailers.
I go la 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 in the movie theater.
Well, this isn't a spoiler.
I won't say anything. No, don't spoil anything. The man does not want to see trailers.
It's okay. I've read a lot.
No. It's not the only context of the trailer that Pat is high on is the fact that they actually paid for a legitimate, like, pop song, The Hollies, The Air That I Breathe, to play in the trailer.
That's cool.
And he thinks that is okay. So you guys are you're both on the same page.
Cool.
I'm pushing. I'm going to be pushing a rock up a hill talking to you guys about this.
Is it slowed down in any way, or is it just
no?
It's scary. It's a scary. Well, that song.
No, it's not a scary version.
That song just naturally has.
It just is scary.
Yeah. No, it's very exciting. It's very exciting. So I'm excited. We'll if you come back, Brett, early October, we'll talk.
Do you want me to bring a crow for him to eat on that episode?
Yes. That is a great October.
Okay. Done. Here's the thing. Here's the bet. If this movie opens to the highest, the biggest of all of them, I will eat crow.
Real crow.
A DVD copy of Alex Proyas'
The Crow?
Yeah.
Well, I don't know.
Cut it up and like microwave it or something. I don't know.
I mean, this is getting to be the shoe guy.
If we could find a restaurant,
the guy who made licorice shoes. I'm not doing that shit.
No,
but I will.
If we could find a restaurant, and in New York City, if you got enough money, you could get anything. If we could find a restaurant who will make us a crow, cook it. I'm not going to get it off the street and you're eating feathers in your mouth. I'm saying
like a well-prepared crow.
Yes.
How about this? How about a
olive oil, olive oil baked in the
How about a crow cake? How about a crow cake?
A croquet
that has an element of grossness to it that is edible, but it's I'm not like snot icing or I'm not doing that shit. But what I'm saying, like it's shaped like a crow. It's a cake, but there's something in it that I'll be like, oh, this is
Like
gross, and I'll eat it on.
Perhaps a crow.
I mean,
Yeah,
crow meat. Put crow meat in the cake. Whatever you guys want to do, that's on you. That's on you. But I will eat the crow cake with whatever the element is.
I mean, this is a huge
Well, now I just feel
for
like
sweets.
he just weaseled his way into having some fucking free cake. This
right,
is horseshit.
exactly. No, you've got to eat.
There's gonna be crow meat in it.
You've got to eat a cooked crow. We'll find it. I mean, listen, the restaurant business got hit hard post-COVID. There's going to be a chef out there in Manhattan who's going to want to make us a cooked crow.
If anyone knows who that is, let us know. But I think we should also just start tweeting the hashtag Clayton Eats Crow.
Yes.
And see what happens.
Yeah.
Well, it hasn't happened yet. It hasn't happened yet. And it won't happen. So I'm very, very, would you then eat, would you guys split the crow?
No.
Oh, God.
No. Why would we do that?
It's just me then, I guess.
So listen, it's going to be a huge radio stunt for October sweeps. So very, very exciting. So of course, everyone follow us on YouTube. We are YouTubers. So find the BO Boys on YouTube and subscribe, like, and ring that bell. Follow us on social media at the BO Boys Pod on Twitter X and on TikTok. Wanna BO senior intern Christopher killing it with the vertical clips on social media at the BO Boys Pod. And thank you, of course, to Wanna BO junior intern Jack for the research for the show. The internship program is going great right now. Give us 5-star Apple reviews, Apple Podcasts. Just go in there and say, love the show, blah, blah, blah. And we love those 5-star reviews. And of course, the big thing is the new flesh. So, Brett, what do you have going on either on the most recent episode or an upcoming episode? What's going on in New Flesh World?
Well, due to the slasher-like nature of the Equalizer 3, we did cover that last week on the New Flesh podcast. We will be covering the NUN 2 this weekend, so that comes out on Monday. And I did miss the Haunting in Venice screening tonight, but I'm hoping to see it in time for next week's podcast. So unless my baby arrives before then, that episode will be out. And if the baby arrives before then, who knows what happens to the podcast? You'll have to stay tuned and see what happens.
Whoa. Wow.
The baby might host the show. I don't know. We're going to see what they want to do.
You got to start monetizing the baby as soon as possible.
We're going to start monetizing that baby as soon as it's out.
Yeah.
We're trying.
Yeah.
Love it. So look forward to that on the New Flesh. A baby will be monetized on air. That's horror lifestyle.
That's a promise.
There.
Yeah.
Yes. So guys, I think we've done it. Clayton, is there anything else to say? I don't think so.
I can't imagine anything you would say other than maybe until next time.
We'll smell you at the box office. Nailed it.